let's talk about relationships and bank accounts today, okay? Maybe it's the former math teacher in me, but I like to think of relationships sometimes as bank accounts. And it's an awesome analogy, but it falls apart in like one little way, and I'll talk about that today. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I help people write new love stories about themselves so they can break down their walls and live deeply connected lives. So if you think about a relationship as a bank account, right, it's going to be a series of deposits and withdrawals. And your deposits are going to be your connections when you feel really connected to each other. They're going to be when you make the other person feel good about themselves. Whenever you're spending quality time together, whatever it is that really that connects you, right? That shares love between the two of you. So those are going to be all of your deposits. And then we're human, so we have withdrawals. That just happens. Sometimes they're super small, like, just ignoring something that the other person shares. Sometimes they're bigger, they're, arguments. Sometimes they're really catastrophic, right? Where your balance plummets into the negative and the relationship is in big time trouble. So what happens with the balance? Let's talk about your balance. If you've got a big positive number for your balance, your relationship is going to be in a healthier place, right? You've made a lot of deposits and very few withdrawals, and that's when things really feel like they're going awesome and you feel really connected, and if it's a romantic relationship, you feel really in love. And if it's just a regular friendship, you just feel really intimately connected with them. So that feels awesome, right? Now, nobody likes living paycheck to paycheck. It's not comfortable. There's insecurity in it. You're not really sure what's going to happen. So when you're kind of like right there with your deposits and your withdrawals, that's how that relationship feels. It feels a little sketchy because you're just riding that line. And if you are, in the hole where there have been way too many withdrawals made and not enough deposits, that's when you know that the relationship is in big trouble. But let's talk about what can sometimes happen, because if you have your bank account and you don't make any withdrawals, but you don't put any money in, it just stays at that number, right? You can leave it alone for a while. This does not happen well in relationships. This is where the whole analogy falls apart. Sometimes your relationship gets left alone, for a while. This could be when, one person in the relationship suffers a loss of some kind, or is grieving something, or is in a depression, and it essentially just has to go into their internal world and do their own thing for a while and can't step outside enough to connect with the other person. That can happen. Sometimes, let's say work gets really busy, and that is where all the energy goes and all the attention goes and all the stress goes into another area of life, and the relationship gets left alone for a while. Or maybe it's a child, right? I know for me, when we've had brand new babies, I'm like, you got to do you for a while because this is all I can take, right? I'm putting everything into this. Or if you've got a child going through a difficult time, sometimes your efforts and your energy go to that instead of to the relationship. But the relationship will not stay at that balance. What happens is every single day, a little tiny withdrawal, it's like a little bank fee, a little tiny withdrawal is made and another little tiny withdrawal is made. And as long as that relationship is left alone, that balance is slowly going down. Now, maybe you had such a high balance that it can weather that for a while. But after time, this is why people wake up and they go, God, I don't get it. Nothing major has happened in the relationship, but I am really not into that person, or I really don't feel connected. And that's because we just can't leave our relationships on autopilot for any long period of time. We have to think about that. We have to think about putting in the deposits into our relationships and continuing to turn toward that person and continuing to connect with that person and continuing to make them feel good if it's something that we want. And if it's not, if we're not willing to put in those deposits, then we really have to think about whether we want to be in this relationship or not. you know, because living down in the negative, that doesn't feel good. As long as I've got mostly lots of great connection and interaction, then the withdrawals, they can be weathered. But we have to keep putting into our relationships. That's the only way that they will survive those times when we have to withdraw and do something else for a while. So I just wanted to share that with you today. You know, I run into a lot of people who wake up one day and they're just like, I don't get it. This is just, I'm not into this. Why? But it's because left alone, your relationships will take hits day after day after day. So do your deposits, people. Turn toward the people that you love. Give them ways to feel good about themselves. Connect with them so that you can keep that healthy balance in your relationships. Thank you for watching. Please share if you know somebody who would benefit from this message, and I will see you next time. Mwah.